Welcome to the Lezlie Show. I have a very special guest today, Mr. Jerry Sanger, and we are going to be talking about clinical hypnotherapy. Jerry has been around for 27 years, and he's also taught at Cal Poly, Cuesta College, and Hancock, and many other schools. So let's give a nice welcome for Jerry. But before we welcome him, I do want to tell you that I am a proponent of hypnotherapy. I've been in a lot of different plays. In fact, this one play I had 200 pages to read, and it was really a bit much, and I did hypnosis, and I'll be darned, I learned my lines very quickly. I also was really nervous about driving a car. In fact, I was more nervous than a pig in a bacon factory, and I had hypnosis for driving. And I'll tell you what, I can drive in LA now and I don't have any anxiety at all. So let's give a nice welcome to Jerry Sanger. Woohoo! Jerry.
Hi, Lezlie.
Hi, it's a pleasure having you on my show today. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Well, Jerry, can you tell our audience today how you became involved in hypnotherapy?
Yes, it started when I was 19 and I learned to hypnotize myself from a psychology class I was taking in college.
Okay, well, tell me about that.
Well, I was an athlete in college, and there was a lot of stress involved in athletics and getting good grades and that sort of thing. And my scholarship, part of it was based on how well I did academically. So because of the stress involved, I learned to put myself in hypnosis, and I think I played better, and I know I got better grades. So that's how it started.
Okay. Well, I know your master's degree is in social science, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wondering, is there a reason you became a clinical hypnotherapist rather than a regular psychologist?
Well, because I love teaching. I've been a teacher all my life, and I didn't really want to go into therapy and work with people on a therapeutic basis, because I really liked young people and liked working in the classroom, and I've taught lots of grades from first through the college level, and that was my first choice. And so hypnotherapy sort of came later in my life.
Okay.
When I started thinking about retiring from teaching.
Okay, so you taught at Cal Poly, Cuesta, Hancock College, is that right?
Yes, and Arroyo Grande High School.
Okay, did you teach hypnotherapy in these?
No, those hypnotherapy is not really offered at a college level like that. So I went to several schools that specialize in training people to become hypnotherapists.
Okay. What are some of the things that hypnotherapy can do for people? I mean, what do you use? What are some of the main reasons people go to a hypnotherapist?
You know, that's changed over the 27 years I've been a hypnotherapist. I started out years ago, the smokers, and so I saw a lot of people to stop smoking. In California, it seems like almost everybody stopped smoking because of the cost of smoking and the health aspects. So it's kind of morphed into a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of stress in our society today. So I see people with lots of panic, anxiety, a lot of stress-related issues. I also see people who fall through the cracks and don't fit into normal kinds of therapeutic processes. Like, for example, I recently had a person who wanted to be an actor, and he was taking classes, and he had a difficult time crying. And he just couldn't do it when he was taking classes where he's supposed to show that emotion. Now, there are lots of reasons he was not able to cry, and I wouldn't go into those, but basically it took about 3 sessions, and he cried like a baby in my office.
Oh my goodness.
He reached that goal. Now, whether he did that when he was in a class, I just don't know. But those are unusual situations that people will come to see me, but panic and anxiety is the big one right now.
And how many sessions on average does a person need?
I like a person to commit to seeing me 4 times.
Okay.
The sessions are about 2 hours long, so there's a commitment of 8 hours. I always give them a CD or a tape of hypnosis and what it is and how they can learn to hypnotize themselves. Because at the end of 4 sessions, I really want the person to say to me, you know, I don't need you anymore. I can do it myself. So my main goal is to teach a person self-hypnosis.
Okay. Now, would you say most people are able to be hypnotized, or have you ever met people where they just can't seem to become hypnotized?
You know, that's a question that I've been asked and I've heard asked many, many times. My personal belief is everybody can be hypnotized. In fact, everybody is at some point in time in their lives, maybe almost weekly. But it's not hypnosis that we see in the movies or that we see on the stage. So people don't recognize it as hypnosis. Really, the question is, at what level can people be hypnotized? Because there are some people that could be hypnotized and they could have major surgery done without anesthesia. That's a different level than a person in hypnosis that wants to be a better tennis player, for example. And I've worked with both extremes. But I think everybody can be hypnotized, but at what level is the question? Because it's kind of like a staircase. You can be in light hypnosis, medium hypnosis, or a deep trance.
Okay. I got into hypnosis from my mother. My mother actually had a full set of teeth put in, false teeth, through hypnosis. And it turned out that this dentist back in the day would hypnotize his patients and put the teeth on there without any Novocaine. But it's illegal now. This was back, I don't know how many, 40, 50 years ago that she did this. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Oh, yes. In fact, dentistry was the mainstay of hypnosis for many years. And there's many records of before anesthesia back in the 17 and 1800s of some physicians using hypnosis in all kinds of surgeries. But with the development of Novocaine and anesthesia, it's just faster to give somebody a shot in their gums and to numb their mouth, and or to do anesthesia, and it's a foolproof. You know, anesthesia is basically. Although there are people today that have a reaction to Novocaine or anesthesia, so they would be more of a candidate for hypnosis than the average person.
Okay.
But yes, I've heard of that. It still happens today. I have people who have dental surgery fears or fear of going to the dentist, and I see some of those people and help them relax and go through a dental procedure without any medication.
Oh. Well, do people really need to go into a real deep state of meditation, but hypnosis? Or what if you go into a light state? Does that mean it doesn't work as correctly, or?
No, the research shows that the depth of a trance is not always so important. It depends on really what you want to do. I'm working with a person right now, a young high school student that has a lot of anxiety. And just for her to take the edge off of that anxiety, she's not in a, quote, deep trance. So that's all that she needs, really. So it depends on the situation. I think if a person was going to have their arm amputated, you know, maybe a deep trance would be beneficial. But other than that, any kind of trance would work well.
For those of the people out there that have never had hypnosis, can you explain what the trance would feel like and a little bit how you get the person into the trance-like state? And I know a lot of people are afraid to go in that trance because they feel the person can take control of them, or maybe they might reveal secrets they would never tell anybody. I don't know if that's true in hypnosis, but maybe you could elaborate on that.
Sure. There are several good questions that you've asked there. First of all, the trance is a natural occurring phenomenon. When you sit down and read a book and you sort of block out the external world, I call that a trance. It would be like if you were listening to your favorite music and you're reading your favorite book. You're going to focus on one or the other, not both. And we've all had that experience where we have blocked out things around us because we're so focused on one thing. So that's how a trance feels. It feels like the time seems to change on you. That when you're driving, it seems like an hour is really only 10 minutes, you know. So that's how you can tell you're in a trance. You can also tell if there's a change in a sensation. For example, let's say that you had a tennis elbow and it was bothering you, and you would normally take 2 or 3 Aleve to minimize that discomfort. You could use self-hypnosis so you only took 1 Aleve, or maybe only 2 instead of 3 or 4, or you may not have to take any Aleve. So hypnosis has degrees of ability to help someone. Just because a person doesn't go into a deep trance doesn't mean that hypnosis couldn't be helpful to them.
Okay.
They could go into a light trance and it would minimize the amount of medication they might have to take.
Have you had many success stories with people that were in pain and rather than to take the drugs, they were able to do hypnosis?
You know, pain is one of the areas that I probably have had the most success with because the person is so motivated. You know, there's, a lot of things in life can happen to us and we may not have a lot of motivation to fix it. Procrastination, for example, would be one that maybe would be a little more challenging because some people procrastinate, and even though it might get them into a little trouble, they still might enjoy putting things off that they don't want to do. But pain is something that nobody wants. And so my pain clients are highly motivated, so I have a pretty good batting average in that area.
That would show exactly how powerful your brain is, because it's basically your brain that's controlling the body through hypnosis, correct?
Yes. Well, we could say it the other way around too. Sometimes the body controls the brain.
Okay.
Because if I was a massage therapist and I was massaging a person and they said, "Oh, that feels so good," that changes their brain. It changes brain chemistry.
Right.
So maybe they're putting out more endorphins, and of course you know a lot about that. But yeah, you can work with the brain and it can change the body. Or you can work with the body and it can change the brain because they're so connected.
Also, I think you were saying that when you're very focused on something, you're under hypnosis. So that would mean if you're at a movie or maybe a sporting event, you could be under hypnosis right there.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the things that I like to explain to my clients is that hypnosis, or what I call the ability to focus and to have imagination and to take or give positive suggestions, that can be negative or it can be positive. And I think a lot of people don't understand that they go into a negative trance. In other words, I recently had a person who was in the Las Vegas terrible tragedy there. She was at the concert, and so she had developed some real anxieties about being out in public from that terrible incident. So her focus was, well, what if this happens to me, or could it happen again? And so it was hard for her to shift her brain from a negative focus to a positive one. But I showed her some strategies, and she's using them, and so her anxiety has really diminished. So a positive trance, a negative trance, and I think they're both hypnosis.
Okay. What I think I'm hearing you say is if you're concentrating on negative events, you're actually hypnotizing yourself in a negative way. So the more you ruminate on negative events, you're hypnotizing yourself to become in perhaps a depressed, anxious mood. Is that correct?
I think so.
So it's important to really watch your thoughts during the day and catch them.
Well, that leads me into one of my favorite topics of hypnosis, and that's reframing. Because when a person experiences negative thoughts, and we all do, I certainly do, and a negative thought is not always bad because it's a way to protect ourselves. You know, it's a way to keep us out of danger, and it's the whole fight or flight syndrome that we've read about many times. But to realize that a negative thought can be changed to a positive one through reframing. It's the old adage of, you know, when you get lemons, make lemonade.
Exactly. I can give you an example of what I think you're talking about. Last week I was in Costco, and it was a headache because I was standing in these lines. I had the wrong glasses. First I was upset that I had to get glasses. Then I got the wrong glasses, and I was going back and forth with this annoying situation with these glasses, and then standing in this line, standing in that line. And then I turned around and I looked and I saw this guy in a wheelchair. He looked like the poor guy was shaking. He had some neurological problem, and it was something else. And I thought to myself, you know, I have a lot to be grateful for. Look at this guy in the wheelchair suffering. And all of a sudden it just snapped my mood into like, oh, I have a great life. What am I complaining about these glasses for? Look at this poor man in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're saying about reframing your situation, trying to learn to see the situation in a different light.
Right. Because, you know, if the same situation happens to 10 people, they'll all look at it differently. So if I said, Lezlie, if you're stuck in a line and you're feeling really grumpy, how can you look at that in a different way so you don't feel quite as grumpy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always had a sign posted on my desk when I was teaching, and it went like this: I cried because I had no shoes until I saw the man with no feet.
That's great.
You
yeah,
know.
And that's a perfect example of reframing.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So what would you say is your biggest success story?
Oh,
you've had so many.
I probably have worked with 10,000 people, and that's not an exaggeration. You know, the thing I like the best, I don't know if it's a success story, is when I get a referral. Because I really don't advertise, and so when somebody calls me and says, I got your name from a friend or somebody I know, that is to me a success story.
Right.
Because you know, people only refer somebody if they've been helped.
Right. Exactly.
And I've had a very wonderful life, and it's helping people as a way to show my appreciation of all the people that helped me. So.
Exactly. Well, I personally have done hypnosis, and it's done a lot of great things for me, and that's why I'm having you on the show. I just think hypnosis is great. I know a lot of athletes use it, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show. I think they get that X factor. The basketball players, the football players, the golfers, they go into a state of hypnosis. They visualize themselves playing before they get on the court, mm-hmm. and I think it helps them a lot. Mm-hmm. Is that what you did in your younger days?
Yes, and I still work with a lot of very gifted athletes, and I was a coach in a big chunk of my life, and to be able to help somebody focus and to help them give the right suggestions to themselves and to use their imagination of what's possible. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's like anything else, Lezlie. It's a skill,
right?
And
right.
you learn the skill of how to reframe. You learn the skill of focusing and suggestions and imagination in ways that it's helpful.
Right.
So I like my clients to become solution-based thinkers, mm-hmm. to not dwell on the problem so much, but to start looking, okay, I know what the problem is. What's the solution?
Right, exactly. Now, would people ever do anything under hypnosis they wouldn't normally do in real life? For example, I'm sure there's people out there that think, oh my gosh, could he hypnotize me to go out and shoot somebody? Or would I ever do anything that I would never normally do under hypnosis?
I had a question one time in a class I was teaching on self-hypnosis, and the person said to me, could you get somebody to rob a bank? And there was a pause on my part, and I said, sure. And the audience kind of went like that, and I said, I could get a bank robber to rob a bank.
Okay.
And so they all understood that you can't really get somebody to do something they don't want to do. I have enough of a challenge to help people do what they want to do. So I've never tried to get somebody to do something they didn't want to do. But the research has shown that you really can't get somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Okay. And I know you want to talk about self-hypnosis, so you're saying that a person can go home and hypnotize themselves. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that through buying a book on how to do self-hypnosis? Would they need to go to a clinical hypnotherapist to learn this, or how would a person hypnotize themselves?
Well, all of the above of what you said. I think there's a great book online on Amazon you can buy for $3 or $4 plus shipping on self-hypnosis by Lambro and Allman. And it's a good book, and a person could pick it up and read it and probably learn a lot of skills. The people I see don't know about the book and don't tend to read it. I always say to them, this is more material if you want to purchase the book. But I teach them what I think they would like to learn about self-hypnosis.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go to somebody, or you can read a book, or you can do both. I always send a person a CD. And now with technology, I'm working with people now I've never seen. They live in Idaho or Pennsylvania. See, one of them was Pennsylvania, another Idaho, West Virginia. I've worked with people all over the United States that I've never met because of FaceTime.
Okay.
And I can see them on my screen, or I can talk to them on my phone. But I've helped people that I've never met to learn how to use self-hypnosis for themselves. But after 4 sessions with me, I always ask my clients, well, can you hypnotize yourself? And they usually say yes.
Okay. Well, we're just about finished, but I do want to ask you, do people need to be a little cautious when they get a clinical hypnotherapist? In other words, should they do their research about this person, or what should they look for?
Well, one is a consultation. I always say to somebody who's not sure, come in for a free consultation, and I can explain to you what I do and how I may be able to help you, or how I can help you. So there's that. There's how long has a person been in practice? Experience is valuable. Mm-hmm. So I know when I first started 27 years ago, I didn't know as much as I know now, of course. I hate to admit that, but I was pretty green, and I learned a lot along the way. So experience, education, where did the person go to school? What's their training? What's their background in psychology? So those would be important questions. One thing about hypnosis people don't understand is it's in the state of California, it's not licensed. You can't get a license to practice because they can't show you could do harm. So a massage therapist is licensed because, you can do harm. But I guess the harm I would do is if somebody came to me, I couldn't help them. And they would be out $200 for the 4 sessions. So that would be harmful, I suppose. But other than that, they can't show that hypnotherapy can do harm.
Okay, and you're saying you don't need a license to do it either. Anybody could do it and say they're a hypnotherapist.
Exactly.
And you don't need to belong to a board.
Don't need anything. You could just put a shingle on your wall and say, I'm a hypnotherapist. Of course, I've seen people who weren't very good hypnotherapists come through Santa Maria and Arroyo Grande and San Luis, and if you're not any good, you won't last.
Okay, that makes sense. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
And getting the referrals.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, is there anything you want to add to the program today, Jerry?
The last thing would be is I don't want people to succumb to the movies and the stage shows where people do cluck like chickens and things like that. I don't want people to be afraid, and I'd like people to sort of investigate at least hypnosis from a positive standpoint before they make up their minds that it's for them or not for them.
Right, okay.
So don't believe everything you see in the movies.
Okay, absolutely. All right, Jerry, well, thank you for being on the show. It was very educational.
My pleasure, Lezlie.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today on the Lezlie Show. And we have a really great show coming up next. We're going to be talking to some people they're called the Purpose Chasers. And they're a motivational group that tries to help you build your dreams, build your confidence, and build your self-esteem. But I also want to give a plug for the Orchid Community Theater. It's a new theater group that I'm a part of that we started last year. And we're putting on our second play called Mama Can't Fly. Or, they're shaking their heads at me, Mama Don't Fly. What is it? Mama Won't Fly. Mama Won't Fly. Okay, Mama Won't Fly. And that's going to be the second and third weekends of April at Rigetti High School at 7 o'clock on Friday and Saturday nights and 2 o'clock on Sunday. It's $15 for adults and $10 for kids and military. So be there, be square, and like I always tell you, never, never let anyone take your mojo, and have a wonderful week. Bye now.